Armored Core lore, Mido, Auriel. A rather strange lynx to bring up, being as she is only seen once in Armored Core 4. However, this lynx has quite a story to tell, and sadly it's not from the game, but from a bygone website named armoredcore.net, as well as the pages of a book named Armored Core 4, Another Story Complete File. But before I dive into that, the basic details. Mido's bio found at the time of Armored Core 4 reads, Omir's talented princess, selected after the National Dismantlement War for her adaptability and experience. She holds Omir's top rank for close combat, making her one of the originals of the war. However, this original would not see much action. In fact, the only battle she would show up for is the one between Ray Leonard's elite unit, and depending on what reports you believe, either this lynx would get to live another day, or this would be the site of her grave. However, while this seems to be all we have for Mido, it's going back to the mentioned website and book, which allows us to take a look into the diary of Mido during her time training as a lynx within our PAX facility. So allow me to read you the important bits from her diary. There is a lot more than this, but if you wish to read it all for yourself, I will leave a link to my own document I made with all the dates in order, and a link to the archive of the website in the description. Year 2 XX6, October the 12th. I've been at the Institute in New Mexico for 8 days. This was my first visit to this land, and it was a nice environment unlike what I had imagined. The surrounding area is a wilderness, but the Institute is located in a place where groundwater springs up, and trees grow only in this area, like in an oasis in the desert. Although writing this may make you think the weather here is cool, it is still hot. Besides, there is nothing around. Even if you are short of some daily necessities, you have to have them transported in by plane. Today we are going to perform a simple plastic surgery, something about the knee to link with next. I have to admit that I'm not comfortable with the idea of performing a procedure on my own body, even if it's only a part of it. It looks like it's time to go. I think it'll be evening before I know it. Year 2 XX6, October the 12th. The jack for AMS connection to the side of the neck has been completed. Since then, it's just been under an hour under partial anesthesia. Since it's called a jack, I had imagined it to be something like a metal AV cable, but since it is made of electrically conductive silicone molded to match the color of the skin, it looks less notable than I expected. Besides, the connection to the nervous system, which is the most important part, the connection seems to have been formed automatically inside the body using a nanomachine. It was not until after the Civil War ended and I returned to college that I knew I had the makings of a lynx in the first place. I was in medical school and a researcher from PAX came there and participated in an experiment with a machine that was like a template for AMS. Looking back, that was the turning point of my destiny. As expected, I'm not feeling too well today, so to be continued later. Year 2XX6, October the 16th. The pain of the AMS jack plastic surgery came after I went to bed. I have taken painkillers beforehand, but it seems that the nanomachines were trying to connect the jack to the nerves, and the nanomachines were getting tangled up in the nerves, causing a dull ache. It's almost like that pain of the dentist messing with your nerves. By morning the pain was less severe, but until then it was unbearable. Even now I still have subtle pain running through me. I have another test today and I don't think I will get a good score. I'm sure they will take it into consideration, but it is depressing. My neck is still covered with gauze. When something like this is put on, it limits the clothes one can wear, and there is no small amount of discomfort. And of course, it prevents one from harming one's own body. I don't even have my ears pierced. But still, I want to be a lynx. Year 2 XX6, October the 17th. I will write a little about my college days. My hometown is LA. As you may know, LA has been a hub for liberal activism and minority groups. After the Civil War started, it was terrible, with airstrikes, sniping in the streets, etc. I still went to school, but one day an armoured division invaded and I got into an urban war with the Raven hired by the liberals. My family was late in evacuating and got caught in the fighting, and I was the only survivor. attending college outside the city. I skipped a grade. The following year, the War of National Dismantlement took place and the Civil War ended. After the war, the state government was dissembled and the city became a colony. Food rationing continued on the west coast and the movement of citizens was restricted, but a social system was established that allowed people to survive. However, life after the war was difficult, and though I wanted to return to college, I had nothing but a hard life. Then one day I heard that PAX offered me a scholarship if I went to medical school. I studied again between labours, passed the exam, and somehow managed to return to college. But is it a twist of fate? During an experiment in cerebral physiology, I can't go into details, it was discovered that I had an aptitude for lynx. I still can't seem to move without painkillers. To be continued at a later date. Year 2 XX6, October the 19th. I am the lynx candidate who came into this institute the latest. The candidates, age and all, are diverse, ranging from a 45-year-old man to a 13-year-old girl. There are a lot of strange people, and we don't talk to each other much. Since Jack has become familiar with it, I am now starting to take the curriculum with them. One of these things is physical training, starting with stretching, jogging, machine exercise, swimming, bicycling. Sometimes the entire morning is spent in physical training. The instructor said that we would eventually have combat and survival training. For now, it's just a hairy fitness club with a membership. As a side note, my body has been toned up quite a bit lately with physical training. I can even tell by myself when I wear a competitive swimsuit. I can't say I want to play on the beach, but I do feel like showing off a little to someone. So that's about it for this issue. Year 2 XX6, October the 20th. I fell and hit my head during training. I say training, but I failed to get the basketball and got it in the face, then fell. I still have a pain in my nose and the back of my head. Now, onto the previous report. The curriculum also includes classroom lectures. After learning the basics of combat and going over the basic knowledge of tactics in a classroom setting, the group uses a simulator to learn with their bodies. And every day we have exams. If their performance is not good enough, they will be dropped from the Lynx candidates and downgraded to subjects who specialize in AMS testing. It seems rather difficult and arduous, and I often have to cut back on sleep to avoid being cut. Incidentally, the simulation we are working on now uses the old console interface. In fact, the simulation itself is an approximation used from the normal AC. Shimok says it's a fully fledged system using data from the actual machines, reproduced in detail even down to the manufacturer's confidential parts, although I'm not too sure about that. In fact, one of the candidates is a former Raven, but he is no good at games, and I won 5 games against him. He seemed frustrated, saying, if it was a real AC, I wouldn't have lost. He showed outstanding skill in the simulator of the actual machine, so the upcoming next may be his ride. But I can't lose either. Year 2 XX6, October the 24th. The last few days have been spent focusing on AMS capacity extension training. According to what I heard in the lecture, the AMS system was initially developed in a very general way as a technology to rehabilitate people with physical disabilities. However, it was a failed technology for consumer use because of the tremendous stress involved when using it. It was kind of hard to understand overview, so I don't understand it very precisely, but it was roughly something like this. However, it seems that during the course of the development studies, it was discovered that some subjects are uniquely resistant to the stress caused by AMS. PAX has now adopted AMS for next development, with the adapter being the next pilot. No matter how resistant an adapter is considered to be, it is not possible to move the AC right from the beginning. So we are now practicing the movements on a small, about 50 centimeters humanoid machine. Before the surgery, it was a helmet-type linkage system, but the jacking has greatly improved the accuracy of the operation, but the stress level is still the same. On the other hand, it may be worse than before because of the direct connection. However, the operation itself is easy, and the pain caused by the stress is bearable. Today I had a hurdle race with a former Raven in that humanoid machine, and it ended up with 4 wins and 6 losses. Initially it was supposed to be the best of 3 contest. I won 2 games and the game was decided, but he, who hates losing, insisted on continuing and this is the result. I think that ideas and dreams that come true without effort are not real ideas and dreams, so I can't negate my efforts to become a lynx. I'll definitely do it, because I've implanted this jack in my body in order to win. Year 2 XX6, October the 31st. Today, Next Trainer, a dedicated training machine, was deployed at the Institute. The previous aircraft was destroyed by someone. It seems as if it was bombed out. It is a trainer, but it is not double-seated, and the role of the instructor is played by an artificial intelligence. And except for the core, it uses normal AC, and is not equipped with a Kojima particle generation system. In short, it seems to be designed with the goal of helping the user get used to piloting with the AMS system. However, the inside of the cockpit was built exactly the same as the Next, and since I've only seen it in documents, seeing the driver's seat in the cockpit in person made my body tremble. We are still working on the Next Trainer, but are looking forward to the day when we can actually ride it. The 14th of November, 2XX6. Trainers were deployed, and the 45-year-old man was the main one who was repeating the training, but I was able to board only once. My impression is that it is extremely disgusting. It was like extreme motion sickness, and my chest was sick. Even though it's about 20 minutes on the phone, it's very stressful. After all, it is very different from AMS training. It would be even worse if I had got on the actual Next. Also, the 45-year-old man has been riding for almost a week now, so he seems to be very sick. Even if you look at it from the side, you can see that the complexion is getting worse day by day. I'm a little scared of this machine. November the 17th, 2XX6. This morning, a candidate who rode the trainer died. An example is the 45-year-old man. It seems that it was an adjustment disorder for AMS. There was an uproar in the institute, and the subsequent curriculum was cancelled. That's why I had time to write a report like this today, but even if I have time, I can't update it. November the 18th, 2XX6. Training with the trainer has been postponed. It is said that until it is determined whether there was a problem with the candidates or with the AMS. In addition to the adjustment disorder of AMS, he also seems to have had physical problems when he passed away. That said, the death of a person is not something you want to see. It sang a little, but I think it's okay now. November the 21st, 2XX6. Until now, the simulation was the main training, but it was decided to train on a normal, actual aircraft. The instructor used to say that normal tactics will not be wasted even after switching to Next, so maybe that's true. Also, the aircraft is normal, but the inside of the cockpit is the same as the Next. This is to provide training for emergency manual operations. I'm going to be boarding for the next 30 minutes today. November the 28th, 2XX6. Tomorrow, the training with the trainer will finally resume. Over the past week, we have been repeating the on-the-job training in normal conditions. I've ridden so much that I have bruises all over my body. It's a training machine with that saying, I'll try it. No, I'll try to get on it. As in any day, it's not allowed to immediately raise roots. I'm nervous, but just a little. Is the normal AC used in training made by a company that exists in the past? No. The normal I am using in my training now is made by Rosenthal. 2XX6, the 5th of December. There's been a long gap between updates. There are a lot of things, but I can't write them all at once, little by little. First of all, I'll write about the situation when I boarded the trainer. The trainer itself had its legs and arms removed, leaving only the head and core unit. Despite this, it is placed in a robust laboratory building with no windows, and the researchers observed it from a distance with multiple cameras. I couldn't let go of my nervousness as I sat in the driver's seat and inserted a jack into my neck. When connected to the integrated control body, a white light shines into the foggy head, and a vortex of information rushes in with the light. Its intensity was incomparable to that of a small robots and other training and research equipment. But strangely enough, I understood all the information and projected a phantom image into my conscious field. I can't write about it well. I'll come back to that later. 2XX6, December the 6th. The headache and vomiting after boarding the trainer is indescribable. I even regretted being born. The pain medication didn't work, and it wasn't until I slept on a sleep-inducing drug that I was able to escape my suffering. When I think about it, it was a strange experience. The AMS connects to the integrated control body, and the image that comes to mind is exactly the same as the image projected on the simulator monitor. An intense feeling of vomiting and hunger hit me, and I was immediately disconnected from AMS. In the midst of my suffering, I keep chanting, "I'm going to be a lynx." December the 15th, 2XX6. Even after the first flight, little by little, I am on board the trainer. It seems that the integrated control body is replaced for each candidate. I think I've gotten used to it. The image is not the feeling of moving the limbs, but the feeling of being piloted in the cockpit. It was explained in advance that it was not really an extension of the limbs. However, when the level of AMS increases, phantom limb phobia that makes you feel like phantom limbs have been reported. When AMS is amputated, you feel as if you've lost another limb when you have one own's limb. It's disgusting to think about it. I haven't felt that way yet, but I still suffer from severe headaches. December the 16th, 2XX6. All the candidates have been boarded by the trainers, and today we will have a mock battle in the form of a practical battle using normals. It seems they will use live ammunition with reduced propellant and reduced power. I think it was to narrow down the candidates, but no one said so. The format is a winner-take-all match, and the pairings have already been decided. I entered the second game and my opponent is an ex-Raven. I don't think we can win the normal game, but we will give it our all. December 18th, 2XX6. It is just before the mock battle. I was given a little time. I think it's about time the first mock battle is on standby. At breakfast, I met my ex-Raven in the lounge. He said to me, "I'm going to give it my all." I didn't respond. It's finally here. December the 18th, 2XX6. Honestly, I'm depressed. I can't deal with them at all. I practiced so much, and I thought I could do a little better of it. Even though it was supposed to be the same configuration, he went around my blind spot with plenty of time to spare, and mercilessly showered me with bullets. I couldn't even switch my field of vision in time, and my aircraft went down due to a wreck. He came down from normal, and went back to the back antenna room without saying a word to me. It was a natural result, but it's unfortunate. He was the one who made it to the end. I wonder if he's the next lynx after all. December 21, 2XX6. After the practical training, several candidates were subjected to medical tests. Since it was such a messy result, it was natural that I was also targeted. This is the first time I've gone from being a test subject to a candidate. Even though it is a medical test, it is cute compared to the time when it was a test subject, because this time it is no different from the house mouse that are being observed with sensors attached to them in an acrylic case. Perhaps a new drug that acts directly on the neurocortex has entered the clinical stage. It may be that my MS growth is low, and there is demand for improvement from the upper management. The medication test lasts 48 hours, but I was only allowed to tap the terminal for 10 minutes. Since the sensor is attached to the body, it seems that it is about the time that does not interfere with the data collection. Gradually, my head started to hurt, the same pain as when I was connected to AMS. A strong feeling of vomiting and numbness in the hands and feet also appeared. It's time. A researcher is pointing to a clock from behind the tempered glass. See you soon. I'm sorry I couldn't answer. December the 25th, 2XX6. The 48-hour medical test is finally over. My head and vision seem to be white and foggy. Strangely, the mood does not rise, and it does not seem to sink. It feels like an endless flat emotion. January the 5th, 2XX7. Since then, I have been in a different section of the facility, so I've had a lot of time to visit here. The training continues. However, unlike in the past, the candidates no longer train with each other, and they have no idea what the other members are doing. I haven't even seen them in the last few weeks. One of the candidates died in an accident, 4 were relocated elsewhere, and the 8 candidates are now 3. Sometimes we just hear that they're gone. The destination, of course, is not known. It has already gone beyond the realm of training as before. The 22nd of January, 2XX7. Today is the farewell to this institute. With my promotion to lynx, this research facility will be dismantled. It looks like the former Raven Man will be assigned as a technical test pilot for GA America. It seems that the remaining 2 candidates were also sent to Rosenthal. It was a little surprising to be informed of their whereabouts. It has been decided I will be dispatched to Omir Science as number 30. I don't think the experience of a few months here will be wasted. We will fight with the voices of various people in our hearts and try to survive, to create a world without war with these hands. So that's the real goodbye. I hope to see you all again somewhere. This is rather a lot at once, I know. However, this is the real history of a lynx, and I feel opens the door to many questions and answers. Still, to finish this report after this long read, it's time to look at her next, Null. Null is mostly a Type Judith Next model, only the core is the Hogire core instead, which from her diary entries we can see why. Still, what this means for Null is it is a very lightweight and agile craft, meaning evasion should be the lynx priority when piloting the craft. However, as we will see, Null's loadout makes her very much a classic hit-and-run style of Next. Null is armed with the ERO-200, a laser rifle. This low-energy use laser rifle is perfect for mobile combat, and as you can see, it's a weapon that helps Null clean up the small fry like MTs and normals. Saying that, it does not do a bad job on Nex either. Then we have the EBO-305, a highly adaptable new model with an especially long blade. It certainly lives up to its long blade reputation, and was a key in defeating close-range Nex and heavily armored normals, although a lynx may find they use Null's final weapon more than this one. The MPO-203, scatter missiles that fly in a broad horizontal spread. Brutal up close and able to chip away at primal armor better than any other of Null's weapons, and flying foes are no match for these missiles either. Overall, Null has a lot to offer a pilot seeking to go fast and chip away at the foe while doing so. But they should also be careful, as Null is a Nex that can't take hits. Rhodey's bazooka arms are deadly to such a craft, as are many other hard-hitting weapons. With this, the report on Mido Auriel and her next Null comes to a close.